Today I wanted to give you a cozy guide to handle overwhelm because I am in desperate need of reminding myself of this. First of all, I know that life can be very demanding. No matter if you're studying, working a job, maybe you're a parent or run a business, or even if you are in between phases. Sometimes I feel like just maintaining my health and my relationships is a little bit overwhelming. And if you feel the same way, that is totally okay. When I feel like that, it really helps to first take stock of the situation. So first, we can do a brain dump. So just write down every appointment, every event, every plan, every to-do list that you are currently only keeping track of in your head. Write it down. For me, it helps to actually use physical pen and paper because it's a different feeling. When I do it digitally, it feels more abstract. However, if I have a piece of paper, it feels more like it is real. And I can touch it and everything. So you can do both, but just if you feel the same way with digital notes, try it on a real piece of paper. Now, the first step is if you have any scheduled events like appointments, plans with friends, put it into your calendar. That will already reduce the mental effort you are using, having to keep track of that with only your brain. And the next step kind of depends on your situation. If you have a deadline due in let's say a few hours or tomorrow or something like that, what are you doing watching this video? Put this list that you just wrote somewhere where you don't forget it and drop everything except the absolutely necessary, like feeding your dog or something like that, and just sit down with a study with me lo-fi Pomodoro video and finish your task, okay? You will thank me later. Now, if you do have a little bit of time right now, first check if there is anything on your list that you can maybe drop completely or you can do right now. So something that is very quick and easy, like texting your mom, writing an email, making an appointment at the dentist. If you can do it right now, do it right now. Now that your list is hopefully a little bit shorter, prioritize. And I know this can be a little tricky, but keep the importance, the urgency, and the level to which this task overwhelms you in mind with this. I normally try to finish more overwhelming tasks first, so everything else feels easier. Now, if you have tasks that you feel are overwhelming, I'm sure that you've heard the tip of just breaking the task down into little sub-goals that you can work through step by step. However, I have found that this tip is not all that helpful with tasks that I don't know how to solve in the beginning. To give you an example, I am a software developer and the workflow is more iterative. So to explain, let's say I am supposed to add a new functionality to an existing program. The workflow normally goes something like this. I analyze the code, I come up with a solution, then I try this solution out, then I notice it doesn't work like this because I have to do something else beforehand, and then I have to reiterate. And this goes on until I'm done with the task. And for these kinds of tasks, I found what helps me is to just identify the next step and only focus on that next step. And once you find another next step, you can keep track of your to-dos in a list, but only ever focus on the next thing that you have to do. And that way, it feels a lot more manageable, even if you don't know how you will come to the solution eventually. For this, I try to keep a teaching from one of my favorite children's books in mind, and I want to read it to you. It's from Momo by Michael Ende, and because the book is in German, I will put subtitles here. This is what Beppo, the street sweeper, says to Momo. Siehst du, Momo? Es ist so. Manchmal hat man eine sehr lange Straße vor sich. Man denkt, die ist so schrecklich lang. Das kann man niemals schaffen, denkt man. Und dann fängt man an, sich zu eilen. Und man eilt sich immer mehr. Jedes Mal, wenn man aufblickt, sieht man, dass es gar nicht weniger wird, was noch vor einem liegt. Und man strengt sich noch mehr an. Man kriegt es mit der Angst und zum Schluss ist man ganz außer Puste und kann nicht mehr. Und die Straße liegt immer noch vor einem. So darf man es nicht machen. Man darf nie an die ganze Straße auf einmal denken, verstehst du? Man muss nur an den nächsten Schritt denken, an den nächsten Atemzug, an den nächsten Besenstrich und immer wieder nur an den nächsten. Dann macht es Freude. Das ist wichtig. Dann macht man seine Sache gut und so soll es sein. Auf einmal merkt man, dass man Schritt für Schritt die ganze Straße gemacht hat. Man hat gar nicht gemerkt, wie, und man ist nicht außer Puste. Das ist wichtig. I hope this can help you in the same way that it helps me. Now that we have identified all priorities, schedule them into your calendar. I normally only schedule either the next week or the next weekend because I find that the least overwhelming for myself. But if you have a lot of to-dos that take a long time, like let's say university papers or something, then it might make sense to just put it in your calendar and plan for months. But I'm a little bit more chaotic, so that normally doesn't work for me. Great. Now that we have talked about how to handle overwhelming tasks and that we have scheduled the prioritized list somewhere, you might still feel overwhelmed. And that is totally fine. I promise the further you get in finishing these tasks, the less overwhelmed you will feel. What helps me too is a practice of radical acceptance. I look at my list and I choose to accept my current situation. I choose to accept that I have a lot on my plate right now and that I feel overwhelmed and that some of it is probably gonna be really hard and will suck. But there is no way around it, so I might as well make the best of it. Like, sure, you could finish everything on your list while working against your inner resistance, cussing constantly and having a really bad time, but personally, I find it easier to work from a place of acceptance. Of course, that doesn't mean that if you are in a situation that you don't want to be in, that you could get out of, that you should just accept your situation and not change it. It's more about accepting the inevitable and making the best of what you've got right now. And I am convinced that this thought pattern can be learned and practiced by everyone, even in the most dire circumstances. Because I have learned this mindset from my grandma. She was born into World War II and spent a lot of her childhood in bunkers hiding from bombing aircrafts. The war ended when she was around 10 years old, and because everything in Germany then was destroyed, she and her family had to starve. And despite all of that, or maybe because of it, she learned to take the situation as it is and try to make the best of it. I think it comes with practice. Neuroplasticity really is a beautiful thing. To summarize, do a brain dump, put appointments and plans in your calendar, finish quick tasks now, and prioritize the remaining tasks and schedule them into your next week, month, whatever. To make big tasks less overwhelming, break them down into little steps if possible. If that's not possible, identify the next step and only focus on the next step. And the last step is radical acceptance. Accept your situation and try to make the best of it. This makes tasks feel easier. And now that I'm thinking about this, the radical acceptance includes that you accept that you don't want to do a task. This is not to ignore your feelings, okay? This is about validating them and doing the best with the situation that you are in right now. I hope this helps.